The AI didn't give you a bad answer. You gave it bad instructions. And even when you do everything right, AI can still send you in the wrong direction. Both of these things are true, and both of them matter for your business. Most people who are frustrated with AI will tell you the same thing. Doesn't understand me. The responses are wrong. It's not as good as people say. And I get it. I've been there too. That was me in the beginning. But here's what I noticed when I started paying attention. Every time I got a bad response from an AI tool, I went back and read what I had typed. And almost every time, the problem was what I wrote, not what the AI generated. I was not expecting the AI to think of the things that it actually thought for. And that's why I got the wrong answer, because I was not covering all bases. The AI was doing exactly what I asked. I just wasn't asking clearly enough. That realization stopped me cold. Because if I, someone that has been doing technology projects for such a long time, and I'm currently building and testing all these tools, I'm struggling to communicate clearly with AI, what does that say about the rest of us? Last weekend I was at a TEDx event here in Boca Raton. The presenter was making a point about reading, specifically about third grade reading levels, and why that one milestone matters more than most people realize. Sitting there, I kept thinking, this is exactly what I've been watching happen with AI. These two things are connected. And once you see the connection, you cannot unsee it. Before I get to that connection, let me be direct about what this actually costs you. If you're using AI in your business or at work, and most of you are or are about to, every vague instruction is going to be wasted time. You prompt, you get something unusual, you prompt again, you get closer, you prompt a third time. That loop kills the productivity gain AI was supposed to give you. The math is simple. If AI should cut your time on a task by 40%, but you spend that time reprompting because your instructions weren't clear, you've gained nothing. You've just moved the work from doing the task to arguing with the tool about what the task can and how it should look like. Bottom line, unclear communication is a soft skill issue for your business, for your work. Right now, it's a productivity task. So here's the thing about AI that most people get backwards. They treat it like a search engine. You type a few words, short sentence, and they expect AI to figure out exactly what you meant. And that's not how it works. AI is more like a new hire on day one. You cannot hand them a task on a sticky note and expect a finished product. On a regular new hire, you have onboarding. You have the same thing with AI. You have to tell AI what you need, why you need it, what format it should be in, what a good result looks like, what to avoid, and also very helpful, who is going to look at it, because that's going to make a difference. That's the person that's going to read your product, that's going to see your results, because it's not going to be you. The more clearly you explain the job, the better the output. And that part has nothing to do with AI. That's basic communication. Let me give you a concrete example from my own experience. I also run an online store selling landscape photography from my trips, prints on canvas and acrylic. When I first tried to use AI to write the product descriptions, I would give it the location, Peru or Italy, and then the name of the location and the shot. What I got back was a travel brochure, factually accurate, completely useless for selling a print. Because that's what I asked for. I had no idea that I was selling a physical object. It didn't know that the buyer was going to be standing in their living room trying to picture this on their wall. It didn't know the texture of an acrylic print changes how the light hits the image. It didn't know the emotional response that I was trying to create. I hadn't told it any of that. Once I changed the instruction, write a product description for a 24 by 36 acrylic print of the Costa Verde or Green Coast in Lima, Peru for a buyer decorating a modern living room focused on how the image makes them feel standing in front of it. The output now was completely different. Same AI, same tool, completely different instruction, completely different result. AI amplifies what you bring to it. You bring clarity, you get clarity. You bring a vague idea, you get a vague answer. And believe it or not, we are less clear than we think that we are. So another example is when AI gets something very confidently wrong. And here's the part that nobody talks about. Months ago, when I was debugging an automation workflow, which are a series of connected steps that had stopped working, I gave Claude the exact error output, copied and pasted directly from the system, precise information, clear context. Exactly what you're supposed to do. Claude gave me a very confident answer, fix this node, this is how you do it. But that fix didn't work because the problem wasn't in the node. It was in the node before it. The one that wasn't passing the right data downstream. Claude had diagnosed the symptom, not the cause. It was looking at the wrong place entirely. And I only caught it because I understood enough about how that workflow was built to know that something wasn't adding up. I redirected the diagnosis. We found the real problem, we fixed it. That moment is important because if I had trusted the output without understanding the system, I would have spent hours fixing something that wasn't broken instead of fixing what was actually broken. This is why the human in the loop is not optional. AI can be confident and wrong at the same time. The value you bring is not just asking better questions. It's knowing enough to evaluate the answers. That verification step requires more expertise than the generation step itself, not less. And that is the point of using AI in your business. Not to hand it over your work and walk away, to do more, faster, with you still in the room. Because now you will have the time to do other things that you did not have the bandwidth to do before. The moment you remove yourself from the equation entirely, you have transferred your professional judgment to a tool that doesn't have any. And you still sign your name to the output. So why are so many people struggling to communicate clearly with these tools? This is where the TEDx talk comes in. The presenter made a point that stuck with me. Through third grade, you learn to read. After third grade, you read to learn. That transition from decoding words to processing and organizing ideas is the same cognitive skill that lets you write a clear email, a clear brief, a clear prompt. And critically, is the same skill that lets you read an AI response and evaluate whether it actually makes sense. They're not different skills. They're the same skill, but applied in different directions. And here's where the data gets uncomfortable. As of 2024, 54% of American adults read below 6th grade level, more than half the country. And between 2017 and 2023, adult literacy scores dropped 12 points, the largest recorded decline in the history of the assessment. I'm not saying this to lecture anyone about education. I'm saying it because it explains something that you're probably experiencing right now in your own business or at work. The people who struggle most with AI tools are often not struggling because the tools are hard. They're struggling because writing a clear instruction and then evaluating whether that response is actually correct requires a mental process that is weaker across the board than it was 6 years ago. That is sitting inside your business or your workforce right now. The productivity gap that AI is supposed to close has a floor. That floor is built on whether your people can communicate clearly and verify what comes back. If that foundation is soft, AI is not going to fix it. It will just make that gap visible much faster. So here's what's actually practical that you can do. First, treat your first AI output as a draft, not a result. The goal of your first prompt is to find out what information the AI needs that you didn't give it initially. Read what came back. Figure out what's wrong or missing. Add that to your next instruction. Done deliberately, that loop teaches you what context actually matters, and your first prompts will get better fast. One of the things that I do in my first prompts when I start a new chat or a new project is I tell it what I want to do, and I also add at the end, ask me any questions that you need answered in order for you to complete the task. That will help you out a lot. Second, before you prompt, write one sentence describing what a good result looks like. Not what you're asking for, what the finished thing should accomplish. Who's going to use it, what they should do or understand after they engage with it. If you can't write that sentence, the AI can't produce the output. You haven't figured out what you actually want. And if you don't know, how is the AI going to know? Third, never accept a confident AI answer on something that you cannot verify. If AI gives you a fix, a recommendation, or a conclusion, and you don't understand the system well enough to check whether it's right, that's your signal to slow down, to verify, or not use it at all. Not to trust it faster. Do not do that. The verification step is not optional. It's actually the job itself. Now, if you pay attention, none of these are actual AI skills. At the bottom, they are communication and critical thinking skills. The AI just makes the cost of skipping these impossible to ignore. So here's the one thing that I want you to take from this video. AI is not lowering the bar for communication. It's raising it. Because now your communication has consequences that you can see in real time. A bad instruction produces a bad output. A trusted answer that you didn't verify is going to produce a wasted afternoon. Immediately. No social filter, no one politely filling in what you probably meant. Most people experience that as frustration with the tool. The people who get ahead with AI, they see it as feedback. The ability to communicate clearly and to evaluate what comes back is a skill. It can be built, it can be practiced, but it has to be treated as the actual work, not as something that the AI is going to handle for you. The question is whether you treat the next bad AI output as a reason to blame the tool or as information about what you need to do differently. If this landed, share it with someone who keeps blaming the AI. Just as a side note, all the statistics used for this video are going to be listed and linked in the description of this video, also in the blog post. But they're sourced from the National Center for Education Statistics in 2023 and the Nation's Report Card in 2024. Thank you for watching.